This video was brought to you by Stormberg, a weather planner, MisterGreen, Kempower and Marcus Bil.
Yo, what's up? Today, Volkswagen unveiled the ID Aero. And this video, I'm going to talk about that car. I was just so pumped up. But wait a minute, what is the point of this video? Are you just going to show me pictures and videos of the press release? No, actually not, because I've tested the ID cars so many times, the ID3, ID4, ID4 GTX, ID5 GTX. I went to North Cape with it. I did road trips. I went 1,000 kilometer challenge, banana box test, slept in the car in minus 25 degrees Celsius, charging test. I've done pretty much everything with the ID cars and also the MB cars. So in this video, I'm going to give you my insight and my predictions of how the car is going to be. So in this video you might get more information about the ID Aero that you won't get in other cars, other car channels or videos. So stay tuned. So the ID Aero is going to be a family sedan and almost 5 meters long. So this car we're sitting in right now, Millennium Falcon, is a Tesla Model S, is also almost 5 meters long. So this is what you can expect, except for that I think maybe you get slightly more cabin space, because the MB cars in general, they have somewhat short nose and then more space in the cabin. And then in comparison, the ID5 I tested recently, which is also quite spacious, but it's a crossover. That one is only 4.6 meters long. So wild guess, I think the ID Aero might be 30 centimeters, 35 centimeters longer than the existing ID5, but then of course shorter. I mean, not shorter, but lower, but then longer, yes. And man, just look at the car. It just looks so stunning. The inside I saw is like, wow, what the heck, man? This is right down my alley. I like sedans. You know, this is the reason why I bought the Tesla Model S back in 2013, because I'm a sedan guy. I'm not really an SUV guy. And in my opinion, sedans is the way to go even today. I talk about this at least many times in the live stream, maybe not in the main channel, but my claim is that today, because we have somewhat limited battery capacity range on cars, then sedan is the best way to go. Why? Because you get pretty good space, like this one, but you also get very good efficiency. And the efficiency is what many people actually need. They don't know it, but they need it, because today you actually to battle fossil cars, you have to give them something that is equivalent or better than fossil cars. And sedans, they have the space and they also have the efficiency to be able to match a fossil car, okay, at some extent. So you can get 400, 500, 600 kilometers range in a sedan without having to be too small. And then if you go for SUV crossover, then it's just boxier and, okay, spacier, but then less range. But maybe one day in the future, when we get a more energy-dense batteries, then it doesn't matter. Then you can just make an electric Geländewagen. More about this car, the production will start in Emden in 2023. And then in China also, and the way I understand it, based on that presentation, that both SAIC and FAW will produce them. SAIC is really big in China. They make, for example, the MG, and they make a whole bunch of other cars. And FAW also, they are the ones who also makes the Hongqi, by the way. So two big car manufacturers in China is going to make this car, and I guess you can choose in China which one you want from. And then it's also based on the MEB platform, this ID Aero, and it will use the 82 kilowatt-hour gross capacity and the 77 kilowatt-hour net capacity from the ID3, ID4, ID5. I'm not sure which one, but the one I tested recently, the ID5, I get 73 kilowatt-hour from it. So, but it could also be some 75 kilowatt-hours. I'm not 100% sure how much it is there, but roughly there. And then the drag coefficient on this ID Aero will be 0.23. And that will be right on par with Model 3. And actually the Model, the EQE is 0.22. And also EQE is just really nice and slick. And then in comparison, the ID3 is quite poor. It's 0.267. Actually, Volkswagen claims more than 620 kilometers of VLTP. But if you assume the 620 VLTP and then we assume 75 kilowatt hour net capacity, but because I was able to measure that in some other ID, I think it was the ID4 last year. So okay. Then we need to have an average of 121 watt-hour per kilometer. That is actually plausible because the most efficient car I've tested so far is the Model 3 SR Plus, and it managed 118 watt-hour per kilometer. And that was at 90 kilometers per hour at 20 degrees Celsius, so it's very good driving condition, but also that's probably what VLTP is kind of similar to. But okay, we can't really compare VLTP directly to my 90 test, but it kind of simulates it. I mean, it's similar what you get, right? So, and then, but this car must be larger than the Model 3. Yes, it is. But I believe that the MEB platform is actually very efficient, and Tesla might be going on like a balance between power and efficiency. We don't actually know if the Tesla drivetrain is the most efficient of them all, but. So it's actually plausible. 121 watt per kilometer in that car is plausible. So in comparison also, you can see that the ID3, the best result there is 135 watt per kilometer at 90. But remember that the ID3 has poorer aerodynamics. So again, just looking at all these numbers, it makes sense. Yeah, I actually believe it. It's not. It doesn't sound too bullshitty that it's 121. And another thing is that you guys remember I did this weight test with a Kia Soul. I added over 300 kilometers of weight in the Kia Soul, and I tested, and I found out that the consumption doesn't go up that much. And I think based on that test, it just happened to be an e-Soul, which is a very efficient drivetrain. Also, it was just front-wheel drive, but the Korean cars, at least those cars, they are very efficient at low speed at least, and high speed, then drag becomes a problem. But based on that, my claim is that as long as you have an efficient drivetrain, then extra weight will not affect the consumption that much. And then with the MEB cars, we have seen it. They are very efficient. They also have the rear drum brake to reduce drag, I think, or not, to reduce resistance. Then I believe that even for a larger, heavier car, but with better aerodynamics, then you can actually achieve that 121 watt-hour per kilometer. And another thing I'm looking at is that with that low drag, I recently experienced the Mercedes EQE, which has a really low drag at 0.22. Is that when I tested 90 versus 120 kilometers per hour, the percentage of increased consumption was roughly 33%, whereas someone boxier car or like SUVs crossover, you will have roughly over 40% increase, which makes sense when you go higher speed. So actually, based on all this, again, based on my thousands, well, or at least hundreds of range tests on different car shapes, we can actually estimate that the range at 120 kilometers per hour on the ID Aero will be 466 kilometers, or at least 450 something kilometers, right? And that is really good, because what other cars can match or that kind of range? Well, Model S Raven managed 473 kilometers in my test, and then Taycan with skinny tires, remember skinny tires, and almost no one gets it, 425 kilometers, and then Model 3 long range is 422. So again, this is going to be class-leading high-speed range. And actually also based on this and based on the battery, now this time I base it on the battery, the ID5 GTX battery that peaks at 175 kilowatt. If we get that battery in the ID Aero, then I estimated that the 1,000 kilometer challenge will take 9.5 hours, which is very fast. That is blistering fast. And then when it comes to space, because this is MEB platform, then I also suspect that it will have excellent space. What I noticed with MEB cars, the ID3, ID4, is that it has a relatively short nose and also short overhangs, and then they free up more space in the cabin. Unlike the Tesla we're sitting in here, then we have a fairly long hood, but then we have a frunk, of course, which is nice, but the frunk kind of has some limitation, rather than just making the nose slightly shorter, and then you free up space in the back so you can distribute whatever cargo space you want there more freely. So that's what I expect. And then when it comes to banana boxes, again, wild guess, just looking at the numbers in my table, I'm guessing that it might take 25 banana boxes, which is actually slightly more than this one, but I believe so based on, you know, lots of different parameters. And yeah, I think that's it. It wasn't too long, maybe it should have been longer, but I gave you guys the best prediction of this car, and I guess eventually next year, hopefully, I'll be able to test it and verify if my claims are correct or not. Yeah, now the Volkswagen factory is like, Scheisse, he said 25 banana boxes. Make it 25 banana boxes. Get banana boxes. We have to make sure it fits 25 boxes. No, but okay. What do you guys think, huh? What do you guys think about this car? I'm so pumped up for this car because, okay, it's not going to be the most luxurious car, but remember what Volkswagen is. It's the people's wagon. So I believe it's going to be a spacious, a good long-range car that many people can afford. Even the Tesla here is starting to become too expensive now. It's out of the price range. Okay, maybe one thing, last thing I should try to guess is what the price is, for example, in Norway or in Europe, because the ID5 GTX, when you load it up now in Norway, it will be around 620k. So I assume that this one must be more expensive, but maybe let's say 700 to 800k, depending on how beefy you want it. But if they can place it around 700k, and then in Europe 60, 70k euros, then I think we have a winner. It will be affordable for many people and still very good. Not top-notch comfort like Mercedes EQS, EQE, but still way better than, for example, Tesla, I think. So I think that's going to be it for now. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, thank you for watching and talk to you later.